Yeah, so this thing is running.
Oh.
Yeah, it's running now.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I just might as well do it raw. You know, there's actually a doll at my work with a grandpa, and it's like, don't you wish your grandpa was raw like me? Like,
oh, no.
yeah,
Bad idea,
me
bad
and my
idea.
coworker looked at each other after that happened. We're like, raw.
Oh,
no.
Okay, so I guess maybe we should do an introduction.
Yes.
Okay, so hi, I'm Sarah.
Hello, I'm Doug.
This is our podcast.
This is our first podcast. We
Yeah.
might as well just talk about it. Talk about things while they just happened, and this thing that happened is Walking Dead.
Yeah, the mid-season finale, some shiznit really hit the fan. I
Yes,
don't
it
know how I
certainly
feel
did.
about this.
Oh, I know. I think you do know how to feel about this.
Oh my god.
Without a doubt.
I can't handle it right now.
I don't think anyone can handle it. My friend Jess can't handle it. She can't.
Well, for anyone who did not watch it, this huge spoiler alert, Beth is dead. Shot in the head.
And everyone was asking beforehand, what about Beth? Now we can say, she's dead.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, now we know about Beth.
Yeah, we do.
So,
Let's get the main obvious, and then we'll go back, I guess. But
yeah.
with Beth being gone, this
God.
affects so
Everything.
much.
Because, I mean, first we had Dale, who died. He was like the moral compass of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Herschel. It was like, oh, you can come back from this. You can come back from this.
Yep.
Honestly, I thought Tyrese was going to be the next one. I still think he's going to be the next person.
The axe is
booted.
going to drop soon on him.
Oh, hell yeah. And
Whether you're a fan or not, you feel like maybe somewhere down the line, his morale and whatnot is going to bite him in the butt.
He's not meant for this world. But I was not expecting for Beth to get it.
Like, instant shock, but you know how when you get anxiety, it just shot straight through me.
Yeah, I didn't.
Your arms were up, like, what the fuck?
I literally was. I was having such a huge what the fuck moment, and it was like, when we were watching Talking Dead, and Keegan-Michael Key was like, oh, a gun was fired. Oh, Beth just fainted. Oh, there's jelly by her head. Well, she's around cops, so they must have given her a donut. You know, that's kind of how I felt. I was like, oh, Beth just fainted. Oh, no shit, she did not. Shit got very real quick.
And now add panic attack.
Yeah, now add panic attack. I feel bad for Maggie, but at the same time, like, for quite a while, she did not seem that concerned. She never said, oh my god, I need to find Beth. Where is Beth? Blah, 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 blah. It was always, let me find Glenn. Glenn, go to Terminus. Glenn, go to Terminus.
Yeah, you love them.
I love them together, but at the same time, yo, chick, you remember you got a sister, right? You don't know if she's alive or dead. Like,
that's why I turned to you and I said, is it bad that I forget that Maggie and Beth are sisters?
No, it's not, because Maggie never said, like, oh my god, where's Beth? Oh my god, where's Beth?
Right.
You know, and Daryl's, well, we all know Daryl had a hard-on for Beth. Let's
clear the air here.
Let's clear the air. We were all rooting for Bethel.
Yes.
We wanted Bethel so bad.
Well, let me just say in response to what you said, I have to say, yes, I agree. You're kind of wondering, what is Maggie thinking throughout all of this?
Yes.
Because she never mentioned Beth. I mean, even if she did, it's in passing, it's quick and to the point.
Exactly.
But that's also what she did with Glenn. So it gives me the impression that she always thought that everything was going to come out okay.
I guess, but at the same time, I feel like when she and Glenn got separated, that her first thought was always, I need to get to Glenn. I need to find Glenn. I need to know if he's alive.
But when Beth gets taken,
I
got Glenn.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Like, you know, and I just felt so bad. And I feel so bad for Daryl, because he really did love Beth very, very much. And now,
especially after that one episode.
Especially after last season, you know, burning down the house and everything. Burning down the house.
Sarah is prone to random outbursts of musical interludes.
You guys will get used to it, and I think you'll kind of love it. Everyone else does. So, yeah, you know, I don't know how I feel about what's going to happen to Daryl. I think Daryl's going to lose his mind. I really do. I don't think he's going to have a breakdown, but I think he's just going to, like, never get close to anybody ever again. He's not going to get close to anybody.
It'll be hard for him.
I don't think he could let himself get close to anybody.
That's a steep accusation. However, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think there is a process to grief, and he will in time, but right now, nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, time heals all wounds, but I feel like in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, it's kind of hard to find a date. So.
Yeah, but then there's a lot of people who are rooting for Daryl and Carol. So, you know, there are some people who are.
Yeah, but you know, I kind of feel like,
if it's any consolation to you guys, I honestly believe that I didn't think either one of them. I just thought they clicked very well. I think they were very good together, but not as in relationship.
Oh, I am such a Bethel fan. I was so hardcore Bethel. Like, I really wanted them to have cute little hard rocker babies with, like, little leather jackets. And I was like, oh my god, it'll be so cute.
I know you would never see it because you don't like watching stuff like this, but the bad lip reading did that scene where those two were arguing just before Beth grabbed them from behind and hugged them and stuff. Yeah. But it was lipped differently to where it's like, you know, Daryl was obsessed with this guy named Anthony, and no one likes him, you know, and so Beth was like, ew, he's mushy, and he's like, well, you know what, you don't get no birthday. She's like, oh, no, dang it. You don't get to touch a blind kid. And it was such a great little thing, but honest to God, like, that episode onwards, you just kind of knew maybe something could have sparked, but now we will never know.
Yeah, you know, I think that Daryl and Carol have a very, like,
maybe brother and sister?
Yeah, because, I mean, she does kind of tease him a little bit. I mean, she called him Pookie in season 3.
Missed that.
Yeah, she called him Pookie, and, you know, they do kind of tease each other a little bit, and I feel like when the group lost Sophia, and he was like, why weren't you watching your kid? And it was just kind of like, go ahead, get it out. I feel like that's, I don't know if it's like a brother-sister relationship or like a mother-son relationship. Like,
that's what I'm feeling too. I think it's a little bit of both. Somehow they found that paradox.
because, trust me, I don't think that Daryl wants to sleep with Carol at all. But I do think that they have a very close relationship. Maybe that's because how Daryl's father may have treated his mother.
Right.
Being very abusive, and so, like, he feels like he needs to be close to her to protect her because he was the first person to go out and try to find Sophia. Right. Daryl was the first person to go out and try to find Sophia.
And almost lost his mind doing so because he started having hallucinations of his brother. By the way, for you guys who are listening to this, if you've listened to this long, this is my reaction review, so no video. This is your video.
Yeah, this is it. And
this is it. And guest starring Sarah, but yet you don't see anybody. You're hearing us.
Right, exactly. It's because Sarah ain't got no makeup and Doug's in PJs. So, like, we're not going to go there.
I actually do my reviews in PJs. Like, sometimes in those videos that you've seen, I've done them in PJs.
Okay, well, some people look cute in PJs. I do not.
Oh, are you saying I look cute in PJs?
You look cute in PJs.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, you look adorable with no makeup on.
Oh my god, don't say that. Oh my god.
I know, Matt. She's yours.
No, my boyfriend would be like, no, babe. Your eyebrow game needs to be on point. No, shut up.
You got like an eyebrow going up here.
Right? And I'm like, no, tame that shit.
Well, I know firsthand, especially since we've been talking about this for a while, I know at least 2 people who have been watching Walking Dead. Amy said she was watching it, and my friend Jess. Of course, everyone's sad. I just know no other than, you know, my friend Jess. She's really upset about
my friend
this, too.
Shelby was watching it, and I believe my cousin Elizabeth was actually watching. She didn't actually text me, but she liked my status on Facebook about it, so I'm assuming that she was watching it.
She agrees with you.
I'm assuming that she was watching it because spoilers, you can't really say anything on Facebook, at least for like a couple days to give everyone a chance to watch it.
College Humor, I think, did something where they did a rule book of when can you spoil things without an official disclaimer. Like, a week, you can spoil that shit all you want.
Yeah,
but in
the
the first couple of days, you do not say anything.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. You have to give it, at least a couple days, if not like a week. That way, everyone who works, especially retail hours, has a chance to go home and watch the DVR. And sorry, we're kind of watching Talking Dead as we're doing this, and there's a picture of Beth kissing Daryl's hand, and it's like, OMG, I really can't, I can't handle that right now because it's just too fucking cute.
Right. There was this little behind the scenes thing that I heard that, Daryl had to cry for an hour just to get it out of his system.
Yeah.
And now we know what it was. I didn't even think about that until right now. And that's why, as soon as we had a little distracted moment, my mouth just went, oh, shit. I know. It all came to me. Sorry. Anyway.
No, it's good because it was like, oh my God, that's too cute. And I can't handle it. I don't know how to feel about it.
Hashtag.
Hashtag I fucking can't. Walking Dead, I just... OMG.
Well, let's talk about this for a second. This one little topic, and it's called death.
No.
Right. Maybe it's not something we should talk about forever, but it is something that runs a lot of shows. Game of Thrones is known for it. I mean, George R.R. Martin is probably like a literary serial killer.
Oh, in his interviews, he says if he wasn't a writer, he'd be a wedding planner. So, I mean, I guess it's better that he's a writer.
About that.
I'm just saying it's better that he's a writer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, Dead is literally in the title of the show. It's The Walking Dead. Like, clearly people are going to die.
It's a metaphor for what it truly is and then what you don't see in it. And the most powerful thing out there right now is what you don't say. And Walking Dead is kind of saying, but yet not saying, what the show is truly about. Survivors are basically walking dead. Yeah,
they're quite literally just waiting to die, and I think that's very powerful, in terms of calling a show that, because I mean, normally your show titles don't really tell you everything that the show is about. I mean, Game of Thrones, clearly you think like, oh, political struggles and stuff like that.
When that's not a lot of political struggles,
there
is, yes, but it's not the primary focus.
Right. Even though, I kind of disagree with that too, because...
Well, now that I say it.
Yeah, because it's like, the more I think about it, shit, let's go back. We'll edit that part out. Just kidding.
Wait, reverse.
Right? Like,
it is politics in every sense of the word. Every last bit of it is politics.
And it's all a struggle. It's all a struggle for the throne. Emily Kinney's on, guys. Woo! So... I mean, Game of Thrones is very much that way. It really is a power struggle. But while it does have a lot to do with politics, I also feel like it's power over people. Like,
power is power.
Right. Or to quote House of Cards, everything is about sex, except sex. Sex is about power. I mean, hello, really. It truly is. And I was like, oh, brilliant writing there. Mm-hmm. But no, Game of Thrones is very political, but I think it's also very personal because, Littlefinger, he pretends to be Ned Stark's friend and then completely stabs him in the back, all because Ned married Catelyn.
All because
of that. And it's just like, what? Wow.
And you gotta see, this. It's like a series of events. Had this not have happened, things would have been much different.
Yes.
Had Ned actually said no to Robert Baratheon's proposal to come with them, none of this would have ever happened. They would deal with the Daenerys Targaryen things a lot differently. And, you know, all that stuff. Here we're now talking about Game of Thrones. But
we're coming back to Walking Dead, I promise.
But I really, truly think, like, if actions were just taken differently, had this happened, not lead to this, not lead to that, Ned wouldn't be dead, Martell would not have been dead, all these things. That's what makes my heart heavy.
Oh, guys, Emily Kinney is crying on TV, and it's really making me sad, and I don't know how to handle it.
That's why we're doing this now.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it now, so we don't actually have to watch her cry. But that's also kind of like Breaking Bad.
Yes. Yes.
When you watch Breaking Bad, like the actual titles with the periodic table, it kind of tells you like it has something to do with science, but you don't really know what it's about till you actually start watching the show. But then things could have been so different.
Had he taken the proposal from his friend from Grey Matter, take the insurance, had he done that?
Yeah, if he had just taken the money that they offered him to cover his cancer bills, this whole thing never would have started. Oh, I gotta sneeze.
There we go.
Okay.
Bless you. One per customer.
Right, exactly. Things totally would have been different. I think if Walter hadn't seen Jesse again, things totally would have been different. I mean...
Had Walter not have asked to go on one of those drug busts...
Things totally...
I think that's kind of along the lines of what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. Things would have been totally different. And I bringing this back to Walking Dead, I mean... The title kind of tells you kind of what it's about, but it's all about a struggle. Every single one of these shows that we've mentioned is about a struggle. It's a man versus environment, a man versus man. I mean, it's constant struggle.
The struggle is real.
Like man versus man versus self. I mean,
man versus nature.
Right, and nature, environment, however you want to say it, exactly. Yeah. You know, when you're talking about Game of Thrones, like it literally is man versus man. Like these people are struggling against each other. But then, you know, you have man versus self where Ned is trying to figure out like, am I doing the right thing for me and my family? Am I doing the right thing for my friend by telling him the truth? When you're watching Breaking Bad, you know, Walter's become a part of this environment and he's struggling against it. He doesn't want at first he thinks that being with Gus is going to be a great thing. Like he can just do what he wants to do, collect his paycheck, go home. But he finds out that it's much darker and he wants much more power. He's struggling within himself. And that's why even at the end, he's like, I did it for me. I lied. I did it for me.
I was good at it.
I was good at it. I did it for me.
Yeah.
In Walking Dead, you know, Rick goes through so many struggles. I mean,
But he's maintained his humanity. That's why
Okay. A little. He's changed a lot, but
he's changed definitely a lot.
But the thing is, like, people tell me all the time, like, oh, Shane should still be alive. He was made for this world.
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. I think Rick was made for this world. I think Shane got lost in the situation.
He did. He was lost between...
Shane was always, like, the badass.
What was not his...
Yeah, and he even in the first couple seconds, he's like, "All right, you dumb bitch. Maybe you shouldn't be turning all the lights on in the goddamn house." And like,
perfect, because you got that whole monologue scene, those two conversations between two cops in the pilot episode, telling you exactly who they are.
Who they are.
Absolutely.
And you know, Rick is not that. Rick is not that way. I think Rick is definitely made for this world. I think that he does have a very strong center.
Yes.
And a very strong sense of self. But then you also have to think Rick had such a struggle with his best friend. Shane was his best friend.
It was,
and Shane and Lori kind of hooked up. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I mean, I guess they thought that Rick was dead, so it's kind of up in there. Did Shane really know that Rick was dead, or did he kind of leave him to die?
It's a lot up in the air. Absolutely, it's a bit of both. Not that kind of guy that loves to say everything's both. If is it real or is it fake? I'm both.
I think at that point Shane was a little damned if you do and damned if you don't, because Rick, if everyone remembers, in the pilot episode, Rick gets shot, and you know, later on they do a flashback to when shit starts getting real in Atlanta, and Shane goes to the hospital to see Rick, and everything's getting crazy.
That's right. I forgot about
and
that.
And I don't remember if Rick had a pulse or if he couldn't hear him breathing.
People were getting killed outside, so he could not. He's like, "Listen, you son of a bitch, you wake up now. You tell me, are you alive?"
Right,
and then he had to, you know.
And I think I don't know if he couldn't tell if Rick was alive because the electricity had, I guess, started to go out. But I don't know if it was he was thinking about himself instead of his friend. I think he tried to do the right thing by trying to wake him up. But he knew that if he picked Rick up, he would not have been able to carry both of them out of the hospital. So he just kind of put the bed in front of the door and just kind of left him.
What had happened was military soldiers came in,
I
disrupted,
remember that.
and they came in. He had to hide, and just by luck, they didn't see him. So he's like, I got to get the hell out of Dodge.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying he knew that if he took Rick, they both wouldn't have been able to get out of the hospital.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, Rick's best friend is hooking up with his wife.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's so surprising? And sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there, but that was around the time when I first watched the pilot episode. I'm like, this is probably the boring part. Let me go to the bathroom. You know? And this is when you find out everything. And I went out and I was like, wait. Oh, man! You know?
And you gotta go back and you gotta see it.
Yeah.
But then, you know, Shane just gets crazy, and it's kind of this, we're for ourselves. We're for ourselves. We're not letting other people in. We're here for ourselves. We're gonna protect ourselves and bloop, 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 bloop.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick is the first one to volunteer to go back and get Merle.
Which is the most honorable thing to do.
And he was like, dude, listen.
This was my mess up.
We know we fucked up. We got to go back and get him.
Absolutely.
And I will be the first person to volunteer to go back with you.
And of course, I'll bring your brother along, but he kind of went along kicking and screaming at me. Because he was really, really pissed, you know.
Right. So then, you know, Carl killed Shane after Rick killed Shane. So Rick killed human Shane. Carl killed zombie Shane.
Yeah, and Carl! We had...
Carl!
But do you realize that Walking Dead is kind of known to making sure they share these deaths?
Yes.
You know, Shane dies by Rick's hand, and then Carl kills...
Zombie Shane,
while the governor is killed by 3 different people.
Yes.
By Michonne. Well, Rick kind of warmed it up. He didn't kill him.
Rick kind of beat the shit out of him, and then Michonne kind of stabbed him, and then
the love interest.
Yeah, like whatever. She shoots him in the head, and I was like, oh, okay.
There's a nice little trade-off. I think everyone kind of has their moments. Sorry, our moment with Daryl's talking. Norman
Reedus is talking, and he's getting kind of emotional, and it's like, I don't know if I can handle this right now. But Walking Dead is definitely, Walking Dead is definitely one of those super emotional shows, because, I mean, not only did Rick have to kill his best friend, then he and his wife start to separate. You know, they're
emotionally.
Very emotionally, because there's just too many things that they don't know how to handle.
Which is what everyone hated about Lori, because she was screwing up so much of who she was trying to be and all this stuff. And it's like, one, I'm that kind of person. I don't have a problem with you because I understand where you're coming from. With Lori, I understood. She was stuck between 2 men.
But the thing that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration is, like, Lori thought that her husband was dead.
Yes. She
grieved. She had to change.
Yes.
She had to move forward.
Just the same as Rick had to change.
Just the same as Rick had to change. But Rick's change was very slow. It was a very slow change.
Yes.
Lori had to change automatically because she has lost her husband. Then Shane kind of becomes her love interest. Shane kind of takes the place of Rick in terms of that, like, husbandy type figure. She comes to love him. She comes to really care for him. But then her husband comes back, and he's almost the same exact person that he was before. Mm-hmm. And it's like a piece of her life before all of this shit happened, of course you're going to gravitate towards that because that's like, oh my God, good
it's
memories.
It's a reality check. Good memories. Let's try to work on what we were screwing up before.
Exactly.
This is our second chance. Give me that miracle.
Give me that chance. And she has to tell Shane, like, look, I love you, but you don't understand, like, things have changed. And Shane
She went about it wrong, though. She was like, no, you don't get to come near me or my child ever again. That was not right. Though I understand where it's coming from.
It wasn't, but at the same time, oh my God, Emily Kinney's, like, breaking down on television, and I'm, like, about to cry over here.
She keeps breaking down. She keeps breaking down. I don't know. You ladies, come on.
I'm serious about to break down.
I'll turn the TV off.
I think it's okay. I think that, definitely Lori went about it the wrong way. But at the same time, she's looking at Shane and she's like, I love Shane very, very much. I care about him very deeply. But this is my husband. This is the person that I made a commitment to. I can't all of a sudden say, by the way, I slept with your best friend and we're not together anymore. You can't really say that. So I think what she should have done is told Shane, like, listen, I care for you very deeply, but my husband has come back. Like, I need to make sure that this is going to work with my husband. If it doesn't, then, we can talk about going back to being in a relationship. But I don't know.
I think what a lot of people are doing is saying that there was a better way to go about it in the situation she was in. However, I think it was played out the way it needed to be because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G reasons that we just stated, or mostly you say that I agree with.
Yeah, and the horrible thing is like she is pregnant. And, she gets
took
pregnant.
him a long time to come to that revelation as well, where it's like, in season 1, all this was set up. It was only 6 episodes, but by the end of season 2, they finally say, yeah, Shane and I, we hooked up. And it's like, wow, that took you a while to say. Whew. It's so very nice you bonded through this disaster.
Right. And it's really awful because, I think that Lori is pregnant and she's like, I want to be back. I want to be with my husband. I'm just so angry. Mm-hmm. I'm angry that you killed Shane. I don't think he had to die. I cared about him more than I even realized. I think that's what she's saying to herself. Like,
that was by season 3. Yes, that's definitely.
She cared about him more than she even realized, and she was so angry at Rick for killing Shane, and I think she just didn't know how to handle it. And just like a lot of couples, they don't know how to communicate. They didn't know how to effectively communicate about it, because even in some of the flashbacks, that's what Lori's talking about. She's like, we don't know how to communicate anymore, and I think that they were running into that same issue. They didn't know how to communicate their problems, and that just drove this huge wedge between them, and they just couldn't love each other anymore. Mm-hmm. They didn't. No, they couldn't. I don't want to say that. They loved each other very much. I just don't think that they could communicate to the point where they were a happily married couple. I think they were staying together for the sake of Carl.
They were a surviving couple.
Yeah, and for the sake of the baby that was on the way. But then when Lori dies and Carl has to kill his own mother, you see Rick, like, with so much anger, so much guilt, so much everything, because he's so guilty, because there's so many things that he could have said, should have said, would have said. Felt
responsible.
Exactly, if he'd had enough time. And he does feel responsible, because something's got to give. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, if two people really want a relationship to work, someone's got to be the bigger person and say, listen, I was an asshole. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Let's talk about this, because I don't want to be mad at you.
We all want that from other people.
We all want that.
There's always a better way of doing things. Unfortunately, we're not thinking about that.
No.
We're thinking, and this is I'm not trying to single this out on people in general, but it is true. We think about ourselves first. You did me wrong. I'm going to attack.
But at this,
But there are some people out there that do the right thing.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, one person shouldn't be the bigger person all the time.
And that's where I always have my moral dilemma.
That's where I have a problem. I'm always the kind of person that's like, I don't want to be mad at you. I'm tired of being mad at you.
Yeah.
Listen, let's call it a day. Like I don't want to argue anymore.
Yeah. Well, and to try and bring us back on point.
Well, I think we kind of are still on point with Walking Dead. We're getting back
yeah.
We're getting back to Beth. I swear, we're getting back to Beth.
Well, the reason why I said it is because we were going to talk about death, but instead it really branched into so much more, and that's okay. I don't think we can talk about it because it's a very touchy subject.
Well, we can't have death without life either. So I feel like the death of Shane was the death of Rick and Lori's marriage. That was the death of their marriage because there was just so much anger, so much hurt. And then when Lori actually died, I think a part of Rick died.
Yep.
Because it was like, there's so much that I could have done that I should have done.
That is absolutely it.
And I think that was also the point where Carl and his childhood died. Carl's childhood died.
And that's where a lot of hate went to. A lot of hate went to Carl. And
a lot of hate, a lot of
because
anger
he didn't
and
know
rage.
how to handle things too. So that really comes full circle here.
Well, he was a child. You know,
you said it to me. He was a child going through puberty and during the entire zombie apocalypse.
How can you handle all of that information and deal with that? Like that's just too much. He's a prepubescent kid dealing with the zombie apocalypse. Like it's just there's no way.
There is no way.
There's no way that he could have been able to handle all of those emotions.
And I think it was handled just right, even though it did gain a response. Like Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones, it gained a response.
Yes.
Only we did not wish Carl too much ill will because we felt that there was a redeeming quality waiting to happen.
He was just so angsty, and everyone was like, oh, he's being such a little shit. And I'm like, yes, he was, but at the same time, he's a kid who had to kill his own mother. I mean, how the hell would have you handled that? Like,
we always think that we can do better when we're in their situations. That's because we're the objectors.
Exactly.
We're objective.
Yes, we're not in that situation. I'm sorry. I would never be able to kill my own mother, even in the zombie apocalypse. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it. And, and people were so upset, and like, oh, Carl's so angsty and he's so ridiculous. And it's like you have to remember back to when you were a teenager.
We were the same way.
We were all little assholes. We were all assholes when we were teenagers.
Sometimes you have to be an asshole to learn to be the good guy. Or a good girl.
And right. And that's when Rick put away the guns and decided to be closer to his own son and to bring his son back down to earth. And I think Carl has learned a lot from that. Mm-hmm. And I think Carl has changed a lot from that, especially in season 4 with #Puddin. And he's ready. He thinks that Rick is dead, and he is ready to let his own father kill him rather than kill his own father because he's like, I can't survive on my own. I can't do it. I need you, and I'm sorry.
Which is kind of sad. Ow.
That was the most hard-hitting moment so
literally,
far.
as I hit my own computer.
Right.
Hard-hitting, yeah. Ironic. Oh, yeah.
Up until that point, that was the most hard-hitting moment in the show. And then, these people have just gone through so much. I mean, they lost T-Dog. They lost the prison.
Which was really sad.
They lost Herschel, which was even more sad.
Polarizing at best.
Oh my god. And then
and now that we lost, it's always it's always Herschel's family that bites the dust.
It's always the moral compass, and it's so bad because they lost the prison, so they lost their safe place. And they all get split up. They're trying to find Terminus because they figure...
And it's another bad place.
Exactly. But they figure if they say it's safe, like, that's where everyone's going to try to go. We're going to try to go to Terminus. They find out Terminus is evil, but, Carol decides to be a badass and blows some shit up.
At least she decided to finally be one.
Yeah, she finally decided to. After telling Lizzie to look at the flowers, I mean, hello, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you have such emotional moments between when Tyrese kind of realizes, like, this is not the kind of life that I can lead. I can't do this. And Carol finally, like, steps up and is like, no, this is, I can handle this. I can handle this.
But I think that's the biggest point with this group. When one fails, another one rises.
Steps to the occasion.
And it's now at the point where if that happened earlier on in the show, if we'd known everything we knew now, but it happened early on in the show, they'd kind of get after each other about it. Like, I did this for you. Now it's like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's now at that point where they have each other's back, and it's not like you owe me.
Right. But it is sad because, I really do feel like Tyrese is the next person to get it because he's not made for this world. He's not strong enough. He can't do it. Bob was the ever optimist, and he bit the dust. And now Beth, sweet little innocent Beth,
which she really did deserve that title. And it was not a demeaning way. It wasn't like, sweet, innocent Beth,
No, it was...
Sweet, innocent
Beth. Sweet, like, moral, sweet, innocent Beth. Even... I don't know. I mean, I love Beth very much, and she did not deserve to die, and I actually think that there would have been people better suited to die. Tyrese. But,
So I don't wish ill on any of the characters, though I do find maybe a few underdeveloped at this point.
I can live without Sasha.
Or Father Gabriel at this point.
I can definitely live without Father Gabriel. I can definitely live without Tyrese.
I get her conflict, but why do I have to know it now?
I just feel like Sasha is so black and white. But at the same time, like, it is very early in her development. She might be like Michonne. At first, I didn't really like Michonne. But now I really do. Now that I know more of her story. Yeah. So I'm willing to give Sasha the chance. But I feel like I know Tyrese enough that I'm ready to say, like, okay, he's not a part of this world. It's time to cut the ties.
This is why I let you do most of the talking, because it's like you 95% of your opinion is something that I agree with. However, I do have to add in my little logical inconsistency, should I say, in the mix.
No, it's all good. Like,
impartial things.
I don't know how I feel about Father Gabriel. I just don't know enough about Father Gabriel to make a decision as to whether I think he should.
You missed those episodes, so they find him being attacked by walkers, and he's up on a rock.
No, I saw that.
Oh, you saw that? Okay,
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that one. Huh. I saw that he was being attacked by walkers. They saved him and everything like that. And they came to the church. And I also found out that he locked everybody out. He didn't let them in. Yeah. And I got that too.
That's why he was very upset about that. But at the same time, he was hiding it from everyone else because he didn't want to be judged.
Right.
But he locked everyone out, but it was an accident. He said that he was, I think he said he was sleeping, and he woke up, and something happened rather than another, and he didn't get there in time, or something, I think.
I don't know. To me, it just kind of sounds like I didn't want anyone in, so I just kind of locked the door. But yeah. Regardless of why, I don't feel like I know enough about Father Gabriel. I mean, I could definitely live without him. Yes. But it doesn't really matter to me. Let me see. What else? I'm on the fence about Carol. I like her, but at the same time, I kind of don't. It's a toss-up for me. Like, I would be fine if she survived. I would be fine if she didn't.
Yeah. At this point now, I think with all the group members in The Walking Dead, we are either on the fence about them, or it's three of them. Sorry, we're on the fence about them, or we love them, or we hate them.
Right, and I definitely
on the scale of it all, Rick, I absolutely love. No homo, but you know,
Right.
I have to follow with no homo because it's like, oh, well,
Why
that
don't you
says
marry him then?
right. I was thinking about
If you love him so much, why don't you marry him? No, I totally got you. I totally get it.
Go have Doug and Rick babies.
Right?
That escalated very quickly.
Yeah, just a little bit. We might have to take away that no homo bill. Like, no, just a little bit. Just kidding. But no.
And as the complete I could live without you is Father Gabriel.
Yeah.
Though it's not these are not permanent markers. Like Rick could do something that I can completely disagree with at any given point. But right now I love, and this is what kind of started us off on our chain anyway, he does maintain a sense of humanity, but though he does do things that is suited for the role that he's in now. And it's not perfect, but this is how it is.
And I would agree.
And that's kind of how I like that's what I like about him, and that's kind of what I'd like to see in my own self. I roll with the punches, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
I definitely love Rick. I love I love Daryl. I love his dynamic. He's so like rough and tough and hard. Like he's just like a strong, I kind of want to say emotionally hard, but at the same time, he does put his heart on his sleeve. So I guess the better way to say it would be like emotionally guarded.
He is.
He's very emotionally guarded. He has to
be, and especially with Beth's death, he's.
I think that's gonna break down a lot. The walls have closed. I think that's gonna. I don't know. I think that's gonna break down a lot of his walls. I definitely think that's gonna break down, the barriers that he has, the walls that he has, and this is definitely gonna change him as a person, but I am hoping that they kind of follow in terms of the comics and actually decide that they're still going to go to Washington.
Because isn't that where the bulk of the rest of the comics are anyway?
I believe so, because I know that they spend a lot of time in Virginia. They spend a lot of time in Virginia.
My home state.
so I'm like, ooh, they could film a lot in rural Virginia. That would be pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Or they could, West Virginia has a lot of, forest-like ways and
or
great
even,
locations.
Or North Carolina. I mean, that's where they filmed the Hunger Games, was in North Carolina.
By all means.
I mean, they could continue to stay in Georgia if they wanted to, but
I feel it would be a good change in pace. That's where I'd like to see this next half of the series would go.
I would like to see some winters. I would like to see wintertime during the zombie apocalypse, and I would like to see how they survive when it's. I mean, not that Georgia doesn't get cold; it does. But
we've seen them in a couple of cold moments.
Oh, we've seen them in cold moments for sure. But I would definitely like to see like some snow. Like, what are you going to do in a blizzard?
Which would be some great things to see with the walkers.
Yeah, like, because they would definitely be frostbitten. I think they would just like break and be so brittle.
And that's one thing that I found out, that over time you see the decay of these zombies, and the team has made sure that you've seen that. That's why they're not put together. Yeah, they're not put together as well as they once were.
Yeah.
So that's when like Father Gabriel pushed over that walker. She just fell apart.
Oh, yeah.
That was so great. I love how realistic that was. So, like, there's so much good things to say about the show. I just think what we're saying here is we would like to see it go in different directions that would make it unique.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, okay, we'll put it this way in unique perspective. Take 24, for example. First 6 seasons, nothing but Los Angeles. It's always in Los Angeles. It's a good location to be in. But by its hiatus point, when the writer's strike happened, they did 2 things. They did a 2-hour event, which was set in Africa, and then season 7, they went to D.C. And then the 8th season, it was in New York. So they branched out, and then their new season went to the UK.
Yeah.
So that's cool, but that's what you kind of have to do after a while. One location kind of gets tired.
Well,
you can move on and see the dynamics of the new environment.
Exactly, and especially like in the comics, that they do travel, like they are headed to DC, but they do spend a lot of time in Virginia. I would love to see them move into a new area. I would love to see wintertime during the zombie apocalypse, because that's not really something that you see
No, but that's
in
why you
zombie
love Dead
movies.
Snow.
That is why I love Dead Snow. One of the most underrated horror movies ever, Dead Snow. If anyone hasn't seen it, they definitely should.
Check it out. It's not what you would expect, though.
No, and it's so good. It's
Mhm.
so good.
That's our recommendation for this podcast. Dead
Exactly.
Snow.
Totally.
Though I'm very polarized by it because, though I understand this is how it had to work, Dead Snow, kind of spoilers, they really get rid of a lot of people very quickly in the movie. So it's like, wait, what? Can someone please stick around? No. Okay, you went out going as a badass. Fine. Okay, so end spoiler.
Yeah. No, pretty much. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a zombie apocalypse happen during wintertime. That would be super great. Because we've never seen that before.
Right.
No one's ever seen that before. Other than, like, Dead Snow, most zombie movies do not take place in the snow. So I would love to see how Greg Nicotero and the team can really make that happen.
Yeah, and in a very good way, too.
And the locations. Like, I would love to see, like, new locations and...
well, of course, budget constraints are an issue, so, by all means, be frugal, but at the same time conservative with what you've got.
I don't know if budget's necessarily a problem, because this is... every single week, this show beats the shit out of Sunday Night Football ratings.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Like, by millions of people.
Actually, I didn't know that, but I could see that.
Every single week, it has consistently beaten the records.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot.
I think there was 1 week where it was a little bit closer in terms of ratings, but pretty much every week it beats the crap out of football ratings, which, especially in America,
that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot, because we love our football. We love our football.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not a football fan, but I can speak for all those football lovers.
I'm a football fan, I can tell you. Like, we love our Sunday football, but I definitely do not miss Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was, like, I guess to kind of wrap this up a little bit, there were shows while we were growing up, like when we were still in high school and stuff, that we had to set everything down and watch.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, first of all, what was yours? What was that one show that you just had to sit everything down and watch? It could be even now. What was that?
Probably. This is probably gonna date myself a little bit, but probably the OC. Like, I never missed an episode of the OC.
Yeah, I know that because you tell me every holiday you start watching.
I binge watch every year before Christmas. I binge watch on the OC. I don't know how I started to. I don't know when it started.
I do that with Battlestar Galactica. Like, not this year because I'm watching Fringe, but I've done the same thing as you.
Yeah, every year I binge watch on the OC before Christmas.
Yeah. I'm gonna cheat, and it's not limited to just one, but 24 and House was for me. When I was during, I don't know. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, back to point here. The thing is that I would actually call out from work to catch the dates of whenever the show would premiere.
Well, when the OC was on the air, I was actually, like, in middle school, so I didn't have a job. Yeah. So I didn't have to worry about that.
I worked at Suncoast, the movie store, so I just requested that I didn't close on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I knew Mondays was, 24 at House, and Tuesdays was this, and Wednesdays was that, but I wanted to make sure I caught my shows because I love them so much.
Oh, yeah. And back in the day, we didn't have, like, DVR, so you had to watch it, otherwise you missed it.
Back in the day, which was a Wednesday.
Which wasn't Wednesday. Actually, it was a Tuesday. It was so long ago. But yeah, I never missed an episode of the OC. Firefly was another show that I never missed an episode of. I never missed an episode of Firefly when it was on TV.
Oh my god, I cannot believe I even missed Firefly, because I was like, oh, that show, what is that? Bye then,
That was Matt, my boyfriend.
Yeah.
He saw Serenity, which is the movie that was based off of Firefly. He saw the movie first, and then he found the episodes of the TV show, and then he went out and bought the TV show because he loved it so much.
I bought it on blind luck that it would be good, and it's one of my favorite shows, and I got to meet Jewel State and have her sign it and stuff, so it's like, now it's in my safe now. It's like, nobody touches that shit.
Yeah, nobody. Nobody at all. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, that's the one show, I think, if there's another thing, it's the one show that I wish I caught when it was on, was Firefly.
Yeah.
Because that show is amazing, and it does wonders to my eyes and my body.
I feel like
I'm just gonna put that out there.
I feel like Firefly, if Sci-Fi were to pick it up, it would still be on the air. The only problem is Nathan Fillion has Castle.
Yes, he does.
Which is incredibly popular.
It is.
So they wouldn't get Nathan Fillion back, which is why they can't redo Firefly. But what they could do is they could do another movie.
I would have no
Or
problems
they could do
this.
a made-for-TV movie.
They could do something in between Firefly and Serenity, because I want to see Wash and Book back, but that's just me.
You know, exactly. They could do a made-for-TV movie. They could do another full-length movie.
Joss Whedon at the helm, or at least the writer of it. I don't care.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to see that. But it was definitely surprising for me with Firefly that Sci-Fi didn't pick it up. Mm-hmm. Because it would still be on the air right now.
It would be
if it had been picked up.
I said in a review once, I think in some parallel universe, Firefly would be off in its prime, having its 7th season or something like that.
Yep.
I want to be in that parallel universe.
I kind of do too. But yeah, sometimes that's just how it is, and I mean, I think everybody else has pretty much done well-ish for themselves. I mean, Summer Glau had Terminator. And
I don't know where she's at now, but I'm pretty sure she's doing fine. We just haven't seen her.
You know, maybe she's taken some time for herself. What's her Baccarin? Inara.
Inara, yeah.
What's her first name? Move. I'm trying to find her first name. Oh, it's not even on the poster.
No.
Damn it. I think it's Morena Baccarin.
Yeah.
I think so. She did V.
She did V, but then that's the last I've seen of her.
No, she's
For me personally, I have not seen her much anything else.
I saw her in something else, and then she's actually going to be in a new mini-series called The Red Tent.
Okay.
With Rebecca Ferguson, which we're going to have to do a podcast about because I'm so freaking excited about it. But yeah, and then I haven't really seen Jane in anything. Alan Tudyk's just amazing.
So
he does voices for things all the time.
I had no idea he was an iRobot for like the longest time.
I know he was a robot, and then I saw Zoe in something. What did I see her in?
I never knew that she was an alias until I actually saw it, and that was really cool. But that was before Firefly.
That was before Firefly, but I saw her in something not too long ago, and I was like, oh my god, Zoe! And everyone's looking at me like, what? Like, shut up, you don't understand.
Yeah, she was, she actually had an appearance in 24 as well.
Okay.
She did something there too. It's definitely after Firefly.
Oh my god, okay, so talking about like nerdy shows that we watched. Okay, so you've watched Big Bang Theory, right?
Of course, but I'm not advent.
Okay, well that's fine, but you have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, Glenn was Sheldon's previous roommate.
I knew that, yes.
And I loved it because they have in the roommate agreement that no one can kill Sheldon even if he's bitten by zombies. And I was like, oh my god, what if that's why Glenn moved out? Oh! What if that's why Glenn moved out? But then I was like, oh, but his name wasn't Glenn. But he could have changed it to Glenn. We don't know if that's his real name.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have no idea.
People change their names all the time.
Right. Like, what if it's the zombie apocalypse? You don't know who the fuck I am. What if I just wanted to change my name?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny, and I was like, maybe that's why Glenn moved out.
We like making these little connections, like maybe Breaking Bad is the reason why the zombie apocalypse started. There's a mashup on YouTube.
Yeah, and there's when Daryl's bringing out the medication for T-Dog, like you can see some blue meth at the bottom of the bag, and they're like, what?
And then the red Camaro.
The red Camaro.
Is it a Camaro or is it a Mustang?
Oh, Mustang. It was Mustang.
Sorry. Don't hate me.
It was Mustang. Actually, what's so funny, when I when I saw the episode where they get the Mustangs, they were actually playing a song by Tiny Tempa, one of my favorite UK hip hop stars, and I was like, oh my god, no one knows who he is, but his song is in Breaking Bad. Yes.
And was it in Walking Dead as well? Or?
It wasn't in Walking Dead, but you know, when we were making the connection between the Mustangs, I was like, that's so funny because that was actually one of my favorite songs, and I was like, oh, no one knows this song. It's just so sad. And then I saw that episode and was like, oh my god, it's my favorite song, and they have it in here, and it's the Mustang, and
is this when Glenn was going down the road, or
was it a Mustang or was it a Challenger? I don't fucking know. It was one of those cars, one of those sports cars.
It's a Camaro Challenger Mustang. How about that?
Something like that. something in candy apple red. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
It was the same car in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it was the exact same car. Oh goodness gracious! But yeah. And then, of course, we have Better Call Saul coming up, so we're gonna do podcasts about that. I think that we should definitely do a podcast, definitely like going back and making those connections of like all the seasons of Walking Dead. Like, there's so many connections, like so many flashbacks. Like in the post credits of today's episode, where Beth dies, Morgan finds the map with Rick's name on it, and his whole demeanor like changes.
Like, oh my god, he's still alive.
Like, oh my, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I definitely.
Who knows?
Who knows what Morgan's gonna do when he sees him? I don't. I sure don't know. But I definitely think that we should talk Game of Thrones too. And I think we should talk. I think we should break it down.
I think we should, but at the same time, you're gonna hear me a lot. You're gonna hear me talk about Martell a lot.
That's fine, but I definitely think we need to break it down because there's people ask me like all the time. Like, I had a friend from college who I'm still kind of in contact with. I know that she's so confused. Because there are a lot of different characters.
There is. It's like Downton Abbey, only separated.
Much bigger.
Yeah, much bigger.
So I definitely think we need to break it down, like, by houses and by characters and by motivations.
You would definitely be running the helm at that. I can help fill in because while I have it all in my head, you're better at communicating at it than me.
But I definitely think we need to break that down. Yes. I think we should talk Downton Abbey.
I have only the first season under my belt.
Okay, well, get on that, because I'm more than happy to lend you my seasons, but we need to get that, because I think that while that's a very popular show, it does come on in February as well as Walking Dead does, and so there is a lot of competition, and so a lot of Walking Dead fans have never seen it, because they have to pick, do I watch Walking Dead or do I watch Downton Abbey? Because I think they come on at like the same time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they come on at the same time, and they come on on Sundays.
And of course, what I'd say it would be depending on what's your preference, but that's a totally different conversation.
Exactly. So I definitely think that we should talk Downton Abbey because I think it's definitely a show that more people should watch.
Yes.
I think it's very classy, and there's so much going on. Oh my God, Douglas!
And you can always go back and pick something new.
If you saw the most recent season, you would lose your mind. You would lose your mind.
I'd be looking forward to it. That's for sure. I mean, it's not hard. It's hard. It can be hard to get into, but it's easy to get into in a different sense of they're not long seasons.
No, they're not.
They're like 13 episodes, maybe something even less. Like 8.
The first season was like 7 or 8 episodes. I think it was 7. But then second season was like 10 or 13. They're relative.
And they have Christmas specials too.
And they have Christmas specials, like all UK shows. They have Christmas specials. I think a lot of American audiences. I am American, but I am going to say this because I am an American and I can say it. I think a lot of American audiences need something to be happening at all times, or they're not interested.
Well, yes. Look at Walking Dead. There's a lot of talking. It lost my friend's interest.
Exactly.
Big time.
Your friend lost interest in it, and it's like, I think American audiences need something to be happening all the time. Exactly. Doug snapping his fingers over here. Exactly. I completely agree.
It has to be like that.
Exactly. They need something to be happening at all times. Downton Abbey is not like that at all. There's not something happening well, there is something happening all the time, but it's very dialogue heavy.
And subtle.
It's very subtle. But the same could be said for Mad Men.
Which is a show that I think only critics are watching and not a lot of audience, like fans, because I don't hear anybody talk about Mad Men.
I love Mad Men.
But it's a great show from what I understand.
It is a great show. The only problem is, while I'm watching the show, I'm like, oh my god, there is nothing happening. Nothing is happening in this show. But then, if you were to ask me, oh, well, what's going on? Holy shit, so much has happened in this show.
And that could be said about Walking Dead as well.
The same could be said for Walking Dead. The same could be said for Downton Abbey, for Firefly, for 24, for every TV show.
Which you can say you have the first season of 24 under your belt, so you can talk, but...
I have seen the first season all the way through.
Yes, you have. You couldn't get through anything else, though.
I couldn't. I tried. I gave it a good college try. I just really could not do it. It was not
like
for
with the third season of OC.
And that's fine. I totally get it. I get it. I mean, third season was definitely my favorite. Fourth season was kind of like, why? But, I do get it. I really do.
So, all this more to come. Like, there's so much to talk about. For us, we can talk about it and just share it with you guys.
We could have, like, a 24-hour podcast. Like, I'm not kidding.
And, like, there'll be moments where, like, I think this whole hour has been dedicated to silence. Because we are kind of tired.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like we got so much out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why I was so bothered by that death I talked about, Martell's death in Game of Thrones, because I had nobody to talk to about it. I talked to individual people about it, and it didn't diffuse me enough. But Beth's death is now a little more tolerable.
It's easier to handle, yeah.
Easier to handle, so I'm like, okay, I'm not having my heart sinking down to my kneecap.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't watch that one because I hadn't seen the season. But I will start watching it tonight, and we'll get back together and do a podcast about it.
Fine by me.
And, yeah.
Long story short, with all this, I think we were very much emotionally grasped by tonight's episode of Walking Dead. It comes back February, so...
stay tuned, kiddos.
Stay tuned for that and this, because there's plenty more with me and my buddy Sarah here.
Woo woo!
So, our first podcast, I think, went really well.
Our first podcast, I think, is officially complete.
If you guys are listening, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And tune in whenever we come up with another one.
Next time, we'll have to make this try to make it a weekly thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not be against that.
Me either.
Alrighty.
So, bye, guys.
Take care, guys.